Good morning. You know, it's funny. Almost every single morning, or sometime throughout the day, I get on here and I do a conscious coffee. It's part of my messaging that I do for my business, for my work. It's part of my soul growth. It feeds me at a deep spiritual level, at a deep core level, and it just feels good. So I love doing conscious coffee. Love doing conscious coffee. It's definitely a practice that I am so happy that God Universe brought to me a couple of years ago. And when I first got it started, I was scared. I was so scared and so full of doubt and feeling like I couldn't and I wasn't good enough, and what would people think, and what were the judgments that would come in, like, what if I fucked up? What if I was stupid? What if I didn't appear perfect in some fashion or form? I was worried about all of that, but I had this mindset that all my coaching, that my whole way of existing and being and the things that I work with people on was about authentic relating. And what more authentic thing could you do than to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning with your hair tweaking, not brush your teeth, have like 2 sips of coffee in your system, because I am a coffee drinker, as everybody knows, hence the conscious coffee, right? And just speak from the heart, see what channels through you, and just let it flow. And don't do it prepared, no preparing. Sit down and just go, what's the message of today? What is the message of today? And I look back at those days and I go, wow, because I was scared every single morning. And it's funny, I still have just this like hairline of fear, and my internal critic is, going off and saying stuff to me. It's like this morning I'm sitting here and just right before I go ahead and hit live, I'm like, oh my God, girl, you look so tired today. Like, what the hell is going on? Yesterday and the day before you were like, bam. And today is like, oh, gosh. But I'm on my second cup of coffee. I chose not to come out here at 6 a.m. I was doing other things at 6 a.m. That's probably why I'm maybe tired. Maybe I did a little bit too much of that other stuff last night and this morning. I don't know. No, that's not it. What it is just like, sometimes you just go. And as I sat down this morning, and I'm looking at like getting my phone set up and everything, I took a sip of coffee and I got into whatever position it was, right? So like I'm taking a sip of coffee and I'm waiting because it does that little snippet shot at the front side of your live stream when you hit that. Then that's typically kind of the pose that you get from, that's going to be out there. And then as soon as I started talking, I saw that my mouth does this thing. And I heard in the back of my head one of my daughters who watches Conscious Coffee every now and then saying, yeah, Mom, I saw you with your duck face, you're this, you're that. Like, yeah, I don't know what the heck it is. I can't do it if I'm trying to do it. It just is when I am doing it. But I saw it and I had this critical moment of, what are you doing? You look so stupid, blah, 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 blah. Silly, huh? Absolutely silly. But this morning's topic is not about self-shaming and doubting, but yet it is, because that's kind of like what we always deal with, right? It's about triggers. Because I think my life is very trigger happy right now. I definitely think my life is very trigger happy, and I think that it is kind of a microcosm of what I am seeing out in the world as well with my clients and with different people that I follow. No matter what the social bracket somebody is in, I'm noticing a lot of people talking about triggers and expressing their frustration with triggers, or their frustration with the people that are triggering them. Self included. I think I tell, somebody each day about like this story. Oh man, so-and-so, this person triggered me this way. This person's triggering me that way. Blah, 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 blah. It's trigger. And this morning I was reading a beautiful soul's post. I think she wrote it yesterday. I don't know if she's awake right now. She doesn't live too far from here. But she was talking about soul bypassing, spiritual bypassing, and she was talking about triggers and everything, and how. So if you're catching this, you know who you are. I read your stuff. Amazing, awesome. You need to do more of that kind of work. She was talking about spiritual bypassing and how we want to avoid our shadows. We want to avoid those dark spots in our life, especially when we get triggered. And it made me go, that's so true, because the initial thing when I get triggered is defense. And I want to avoid, and avoidance here comes into the blaming of the other person or whatever is triggering us. It really does. It makes us go, stop triggering me. Stop doing this to me. You're at fault for the way I'm feeling. And much like yesterday when I was talking about, you're here for my happiness, so why aren't you making me happy? This is kind of a similar path line to that, because it is the concept of, I just got triggered. Even though you may have not meant to trigger me, I'm triggered, and you should have freaking known that you were going to trigger me, so why did you do it? And you shouldn't have done it anyway. And that is that initial, like, how can that person do that? Don't they know? Don't they know? So we want to cast it back to them and put the blame over there. And then the truth is that typically those triggers are not them trying to trigger us. It's not them trying to make us feel a certain way. Nobody knows what's going on inside of any of us, right? Only we know what's going on inside of us. And often we don't even know what's going on in there. So when we get triggered, it's not the other person's fault. Now, if it is, if they're completely oblivious, and this is something that they just keep triggering on, and it is something that could be avoided, now there is this responsibility coming from the other side. But sometimes you can't help a trigger, and sometimes the other person has absolutely zero responsibility for your trigger. It is all us. And when we blame, we're trying to take the responsibility away from self. We're trying to disown our own shadow work that needs to be done. But when we step into that shadow work, when we go in there and we go, what is really bothering us? What is not yet healed around this wound? Because the trigger is just letting us know that there's still a wound there, that there's still work to be done there, that it's not all patched up, Or sometimes it just gets rubbed a little wrong. 2 stories. Of course, it's me. I always get a story, right? And a story or an analogy. It's just the way I roll. So, little known fact. I used to have a really, really hot head. A very, very big, short fused temper, of which I really don't have that these days. I've done a lot of work to not have that short fused temper of my daddy so many years ago, because that's where I got it from. My father, although he could hold it forever, when he was triggered, the world was going to blow up. And I inherited that from him. And I was very, very quick to jump to conclusions and assumptions and do the blame game and, point those fingers outward and become irate, furious, frustrated, demanding of, this is going to be what I want it to be or else. Hey, Semelia. Hey, Addison. Hey, Steve. Everybody just popped up all of a sudden. Semelia always gets analogies from me. We talk on the phone, and I'm like, I need to record our calls, girl, because this is like some good shit going down. But a long, long time ago, I had this I was very, very passionate in a negative sense. My passion was coming out around my frustration, around being triggered. I was not very good at taking responsibility for myself, for my own thoughts and feelings. And my actions, I was good at taking responsibility for. I could see where I did something. But I thought that others had control of my emotions especially. So I was pointing, you're making me mad. You're making me pissed off. You're causing this blow up. It's you, it's not me. If you had just done this, then... So, long time ago, many a moon, I had a book deal. I had a book deal that I was working on, and I was broke as fuck. And this book deal was going to cost me $3,500, of which they could have said that it was going to cost me $350,000. It would have been about the same astronomical, no, that ain't going to happen, but I really want it, frustration level coming from me. And I had this book deal, and I had to come up with $3,500. I was sweating bullets, and I was broke. I mean, my ex-husband and I, we were working on a house, and we had 5 small children, and we were borrowing left and right from his mother and left and right from my mother just to get by, just to survive. And we were really rubbing pennies together in hopes just to like put food on the table and pay little bits of bills. And I was so just in this space of frustration and sadness for where my life was at and where I was at as a woman, as a partner, as a daughter, as a sister, as a mother. And I was not getting where I wanted. And then this opportunity, it bursts itself right out of the midst of this chaos and this traumatic shit going on in my world. This beautiful opportunity comes up to write this book with some very well-known authors and everything. But it was going to cost $3,500 with all the different stuff that needed to happen. And of course there's a deadline, because when you're writing a book, and especially when you're writing a book with a large company and with some big name people, there's deadlines. It's not like, oh, I'm working on a book and I'll get it done someday. No. It was a 2-year project, and 2 years goes by really fast when you have book deadlines. That's what I found out from the 2 book deals I've done. That's what I found out, because each one was 3 years and one was 2 years, and those years just go like that. And before you know it, you're sitting there and you're like, well, so I need this $3,500. My deadline is coming up. I have 0 to my name. I have nothing, and I am just mad. I am spoiled rotten, and I am pissed off about life, and I am so mad. And my husband says something to me about, like, maybe you should just get this silliness out of your head. Maybe you should just get this silliness out of your head. Trigger. My mom and dad used to tell me that I was silly. They used to say, you just don't know when to stop. You just don't know when to stop. You're being silly. You're being naive. And my ex-husband, when we first got together, we spent probably the first 10 years with him telling me how naive I was, and that we're 10 years apart. He's 10 years older than what I am. And when we got together, I was 17 and a half, almost 18. And he was 27, almost 28. And he just thought that he was smarter than me and understood the world better than me. And in a lot of ways, he did. But then there was my hopes and my dreams, my desires, and my feelings on the inside, and the things that I wanted, that I knew I could get. I knew I could. And he would call me naive, and he would call me silly. And if you ever want to piss me off, even today, you want to get, I'm triggering there. You say, oh, you're just being silly. Although that one won't rub nearly as much as you're being naive, because that one still has a good strong root in my system. I will pause though today. I will not blow anything up. But we were working on this 1947 house up in the middle of nowhere, Northern California. We were refurbishing this house, and I was stay-at-home mom, broke as fuck, stay-at-home mom, 5 kids, refurbishing a 1947 house, and we were renovating the bathroom. And then I had this book deal, and this is where my heart and soul project that I was working on. That, and I love the house because I was, redoing the stairs and the paint and everything. We had stripped the bathroom, and we had the old toilet out in the detached garage, and I was moving the toilet this day. I just decided that since I was so frustrated with, being silly, being silly, I was like, I'm going to be proactive. This is always like my path to things. Like I get upset and I get pissed off, and then I'm like, I'm going to go take all this energy and I'm going to do something proactive with it. So I'm going to do something that is going to at least get something done. So I normally typically move to the physical acts of things. Like all of a sudden I'll do a whole bunch of yard work, and I just like, or I'll go and I'll plant a whole garden or something like that. Or I will just decide, oh, I'm going to renovate this room because I'm trying to work stuff out. I'm working that energy out of me, and I'm doing it. I'm using that to move something else in a positive direction. So today, this particular day, I've been told that I was silly and naive, and I should just let my dreams go, and that made me really, really furious. And this day, I went out to that garage, and the toilet is sitting in the middle of the freaking garage. Like, why? Why did he put the toilet in the middle of the garage? So now I'm like, I'm already mad at him. I'm mad at the scenario. I'm mad that I don't have the money. I'm mad that my opportunity, I can feel my opportunity leaving me. I can feel this beautiful offering of being published with some amazing authors just escaping my fingers. And it hurt. It hurt, and it scared me. And it was like my whole world was crashing around this stinking book deal. And I could not unhook myself from this fear of losing it, and that I didn't have the money, and I was just mad as fuck. Mad as fuck. And there's this toilet, and my husband telling me that I'm being silly and goofy, and I should just let it go, and it's not that big of a deal, and da-da-da-da-da. And my heart going, no. And I looked at that toilet and I was like, God damn it. And I picked the toilet up to move it. I picked this porcelain toilet up to move it. And it's a hell of a lot heavier than what I thought it was. And awkward to lift. If you've ever lifted up a toilet, you know that it's not exactly the easiest task on the planet to just pick a toilet up, especially as a woman that doesn't have the upper body strength that a guy typically has. Lower body strength, but not the upper body strength. So I picked this toilet up, and it slips. It slips, and it crashes, and it goes porcelain all over the bathroom, all over the garage floor, cement floor, porcelain everywhere, and the tank looked like it was solid, and it had just gone boom. Now I'm mad. Now I'm furious. Now I've been triggered by the toilet. Now I'm just like, oh my gosh, god damn, da 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 da. I'm screaming and I'm yelling and I'm crying, and it's all because my heart is breaking because I'm not getting what I want around my dreams and my goals. This opportunity is escaping me. So I get upset and I pick up the tank because it's the only piece that's not broken. I pick up the tank and my hand goes underneath the tank, and what I cluelessly did not even think about is that obviously if the bowl had broken, there's probably, very sharp porcelain edges underneath the tank. I wasn't being logical in this moment. I was being very, very, very pissed off, hurt, emotional in this moment. I picked up the tank, and I felt nothing. I felt nothing. But what I did see was blood spraying out like some really great horror movie where it's like Quentin Tarantino horror movie we're talking about, where the blood is just spraying out from underneath the tank. And I'm like, what the heck, right? Well, I end up dropping the tank because I'm now freaking out because there's blood everywhere. And right here on my finger, I have this nice cut. I had severed my finger with the cut porcelain tank almost down to the bone. And I did need stitches. And there's just blood spewing everywhere. And, we had this cute little stone path that led back to the mudroom of the house, and I had to go over the creek that ran through our backyard. And so I'm walking and I'm holding my hand like this, and blood's just dripping everywhere. And there was blood drops, a trail of blood from the garage at the back of the property all the way into the mudroom. And I walk into the house, and it didn't hurt because it severed all my nerves. All my nerves got just cut straight through, tendon straight through, everything just straight through. And I walk into the house, and my husband's in there and the kids, and I'm just like, whew, and I'm still mad. Now I'm really mad because now I'm hurt, and now I can't do what I was trying to do, and at the same time my deal is still messed up, and now this is going to cost me money to get fixed. and I don't have the money, and I want the book deal, and blah 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 blah. And I remember him looking at me going, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine. It's just a little cut. It's a little cut. I'm fine. I'm fine." And I'm like, stick a kitchen towel on it, call it good. Got the bleeding not to stop because it was too deep of a cut. And I looked, and it was nasty. It was nasty. I ended up having to go to the ER and get it all. I share that with you because I was so triggered. I was so triggered by one word, and I was so caught in this hope, in this dream of what I wanted, and that I lost all rational ability. And I was so upset with my husband, and I was upset with the situation, and I was blaming the situation, and I was blaming him, and I was blaming my kids, and I was blaming the house. I was blaming it all, and my heart was hurting. Now, from his viewpoint, it's, like, get your priorities straight. We're trying to do this, and you're wanting something extreme over there that is definitely financially not possible right this very second. Just calm down, and if you'll either get it figured out, or you won't, and it's not supposed to happen. And he, he didn't understand the passion that I had toward it. He didn't know what was really going on. That this deal, this contract, because this actually hit at a 2-year time frame, and this was the 2-year time frame where I hit what I call the worst possible depression that I have ever experienced, because I got to a point in my life where I didn't even want to get up in the morning for my kids. I was so done. I was so unhappy. I was so empty. I hated my life. I hated who I was, and I didn't want anything more with any of it. And I was really this close to, like, I was that close. And I knew it. I knew that I was that close, and I could feel it, and I didn't want it. And I was scared out of my mind. And something about this book deal gave me life, kept the breath in my lungs, kept my heart beating. So to me, it wasn't just a book deal. It was my freaking life. And to him, it was, catch the next one. It's not that big of a deal. And that trigger really sent me down this path. I love that which triggers me today. I love that trigger even. Number one, I love this scar on my hand. I love that sometimes when I start to feel some of that emotion come up, and I start to feel lost and uncertain, you'll actually catch me rubbing this scar right here, because this finger still is not healed. I had to do a lot of therapy work just to get it to go straight, because the tendon got cut. It was forever. I called it my witch finger because it used to just look like this. It would not straighten out. Now it's pretty damn straight. But it's got a fat bottom to it because the tendon got wrapped up in here, and it's all messed up. And I actually have hardly any feeling on this side of my finger. So it's like, this finger is pretty damn messed up in one way, and at the same time such a beautiful blessing. And if you actually rub right here on where that scar is, it hurts. It's so tender right there. So I will actually rub this spot when I start to have some of those emotions come up. I will come back to this trigger point, and I will rub it to remind myself that there's nothing wrong with that passion. There's nothing wrong with even getting triggered. There's beautiful, beautiful things that can happen from that. But to also kind of just take a breather and realize that it's not always that stuff that's going on out there, that we need to deal with the internal world. And I use this as because this was all internal stuff that was going on with me, and I was not speaking up about it. I was not speaking my truth about it. I was not sharing about it. I was avoiding, and it was suppressing my heart. It was suppressing my voice. It was suppressing all the stuff that needed to be heard. And so this little scar I love, because that lesson so many years ago really did teach me that, hey, sometimes you need to vocalize. Sometimes you need to go, this is where I'm at. And, if I don't know what would have come of that years ago if I had told my then husband, hey, I am really on the cusp of I'm really down here. And I do remember kind of telling him a little bit, but he didn't comprehend just how bad it was for me in that moment, just where I was at. And he had no way of understanding because his life was different than my life. He wasn't living the same life as me. We might have been underneath the same roof. We might have been going through the same financial challenges. We might have been raising the same 5 kids together. We may have been living in the same city and stressed about all the same stuff. But his way of dealing and coping with it and his feelings about it were completely different than mine. Whereas we're two completely different people, right? So he processed it completely different than me. I wanted him to understand how I was processing it. He could not understand. And that's the things with triggers, is that when we get triggered by another person and then we expect them to understand why we're getting triggered, they can't. I have this lovely man. He's so friendly and so loving, and he's just always greets me with the biggest smile and these big blue eyes that are just gleaming, when he greets me. And he's like, great big hug and he's like, hey, Kendal. And he just grabs me, and he comes to a lot of my stuff, a lot of my workshops. And he's such a beautiful supporter. I adore him. He's just this amazing man, and he triggers the fuck out of me. And I love it. I used to hate it. Because he would come and it would make me face some really nasty stuff. For those of you who don't know, and those of you who do know, I hate this term, survivor. No. But what would be classified in, labeled as I am a rape survivor. So many years ago, I experienced a rape. And I experienced a rape with an older man, a very well-known, high-ranking man in his professions and stuff. And triggers come up in songs, in tastes, in smells, in words and actions. You never know what's going to trigger you. This particular man that I experienced this rape with, he had this very unique scent about him. And I'm grateful that it's unique because I don't have to face this trigger very much. But every now and then, I face this trigger of his scent. And this particular man who greets me with these big, amazing eyes and this sweet smile and so much love. And I really think that he's a big-hearted, great guy. I mean, I adore him. Don't adore his scent. Don't adore his scent. His scent locks me up. His scent sends me into panic in my body. His scent makes my hands sweat and my stomach tighten and gurgle and my heart almost stop. And everything inside of me, red flags waving, saying, run, run, run. When I'm just standing next to him. And when he goes, hey, Kendal, and he goes to give me a great big hug, I feel all of that. And at the same time, I have to logically process, this man has done nothing to you. He is not a harm. He is not a threat. There is no reason to want to run out of the room right now, screaming and calling the cops. There's no reason to do that. But I have that. I have that every single time. And I have known this person for years. So he's consistently chipping away at this trigger point and helping me build up a callus to it. He's consistently helping me heal this little space around this trigger of this scent so that I can actually breathe. And now I'm to a point that when he goes, hey, Kendal, or I see him, I reach out for the hug first. I go, hey, and I lean in for the hug. I throw myself into the fire of the trigger because I know how much it terrifies me. I know how much it brings up inside of me. And I know the healing that I'm getting from doing that. I know that I am working at these deep levels. I know that he's not responsible for that trigger. He has no clue, nor does he ever need to know. That's not his responsibility to not trigger me. It's my responsibility to own my trigger and to lean in, not avoid, but instead cleanse, clear, heal, and embrace. Embrace the self-love and embrace the healing. And this is why I love those who trigger me. This is why I love the things that trigger me. And it's it's always, we get triggered about positive stuff all the time too. We just don't put a whole lot of energy on it because it's positive and it feels good. And we're like, yeah, that felt good. But we don't realize that we're actually getting triggered about good stuff. You know, I have this, like, anytime I am feeling stressed, and if it's a windy day, there is this moment where I can just, like, I will go and I will find a tree that the wind is just blowing through, and it triggers. I know that I have planted this trigger inside of me of just, I can breathe, it's peaceful, I feel at one with nature, at one with God, and I just have to sit down for just 2 minutes and just feel the breeze, whether I'm actually feeling it or I'm just imagining feeling it in my mind. If I'm looking at a tree when the wind is blowing through it, it brings me peace. It's very calming. It's a positive trigger. Now I have focused my attention on that positive trigger. We have lots of those that bring good memories, good feelings into our body. Those are great trigger points. We focus in on those things that are negative, and then we condemn them. We go, oh gosh, I got triggered here, and this made me mad, and this did this. And we get upset about it, and we point outward, and we speak in the tone of, if you weren't causing me to feel this way, if you weren't doing this, then that would happen. When you were talking about this, this triggered me. When you did that, that triggered me. When you looked at me this way, that triggered me. It made me want to know this. It made me scared. It made me concerned. It made me feel, judged. It's like all these different things. A song can come on the radio, and it can trigger a memory into our mind and make us feel the loss of that relationship, the loss of that moment, the loss of that time, the loss of not being able to have that right now. Those are all triggers. We are consistently getting triggered. We all live in a very trigger happy world. It's just seeing it for what it is and embracing it and loving it, no matter what the trigger is. If it's positive or negative, that's just our perception to it. I promise you that every single trigger that you experience is actually positive. And if you start to look at it like that, you're going to be able to open up the channels of healing. Because when we get triggered, what we are doing is we're healing energy. We're sending this healing energy into this wound, and we're cleansing it out. We're removing the bacteria, the inflammation, the crap that's in there. We're just chiseling away at it just a little bit. If we are proactive about embracing the trigger. Proactive meaning, like what I shared with that person, right? Like, he comes in and now I'm like, hey, and I lean into the trigger. That's me being proactive about healing my own wound. I'm not asking anything of him. I'm not blaming him for anything. I'm not viewing it as though, why is this happening to me? I'm going, no, I am healing this wound. I know what this triggers. It's triggered me this way for this forever here, blah, 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 blah. And I'm getting an opportunity. I'm not being challenged. I'm getting an opportunity to heal this wound. I rub on this when I start to feel similar triggers rise up to remind me about this particular moment. So I now use this old thing as a memory to serve me to heal, to serve me to calm down, to serve me to go, whoa, I need to hit the pause button right now. Because I didn't hit the pause button. Was there anything wrong with my passion, with my desire? No. And guess what? I still got the book deal. I made that shit happen. Like, it meant a lot to me. It really was my life, and I made that shit happen. I manifested that $3,500 basically out of thin air in no time flat. It just happened. It came. I got big time blessed. I had made my bratty stance on it, and it came in. I probably could have done that if I had had a little bit better mindset back then. Probably could have done that without almost taking my finger off. But because I almost took my finger off, because I acted the way I acted, I got a lifetime memory that I need to pause. That, hey, don't let your negative thinking, don't let your fear run your life. And that's what this represents to me, because I was letting my fear run my life back then. And now when I get triggered, I go, whoa, don't let your fear run your life. Don't let your fear run your life. And I rub this and I think that, and I go, I need to pause. I need to breathe. This too is going to get worked out. This too is going to come about in the way that it needs to. So stop with this kind of feeling. When we point outward, we blame. When we look and give all of our power away to somebody else because we go into victim status and we can't see our own shit. We can't see those shadowlands. We are spiritually bypassing all of our lessons. We are spiritually bypassing those dark spots within inside of ourselves. We are in avoidance mode. And in that avoidance mode, we do not heal the wound. We don't. We just mask it. We just cover it up. We just give our power away a little bit more to anything else other than ourselves. We do not heal the wound. We keep it scabbed over, but still dripping out just a little bit of blood and muck. And we add to the poisons that can build there. Instead of going, no, I'm going to own this. I am going to own the trigger. I am going to own my thinking. I'm going to own my feeling. I'm going to see that this right here is not their responsibility. This right here is all me. It's all me. And I'm in control of me. And I can hit the pause button. And I can ask for space. And I can set my boundaries. And I can speak my voice. And I can speak my truth. And I can manifest what I want. And I can use this trigger in the most loving possible way for myself. I can be grateful for it. So I encourage you today, because we all live in this trigger happy world. Okay? It's trigger happy for all of us. So I encourage you to look at that triggers you today, to examine it, to experience it, to breathe it in. And instead, notice when you feel like you're a victim in your trigger. Notice like, okay, wow, I am really just giving it away right here because I'm feeling judged. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling abandoned. I'm feeling insecure. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling criticized. I'm feeling unworthy. I'm feeling fearful. I'm feeling, whatever. Name the negative feeling. And realize that is part of your wound. And if you run from it, and you don't do the clearing, then it's going to remain there. It's going to remain there. And you're going to get plenty an opportunity to come back and revisit it and to do a little bit of cleaning work. But until you actually embrace the triggers for the opportunities of clearing and cleaning out that they really are, then that wound is always going to be your Achilles heel. It's always going to just sting. It's going to sting. The only way to get it to sting less is to start healing the wound, to not bypass that you need to accept, embrace, which is your responsibility in your own wounding, your responsibility in your own choice making, your responsibility in your own life, and then the forgiveness of having these things happen. Forgive yourself for the experiences of the life that you have that you're not so happy with. And then stop overthinking all that shit back there. Because guess what? It is back there. And it will be brought up with these little triggers. But the more you embrace and love the triggers for what they are, the less energy, the less emotional attachment, the less feeling you're actually going to heal those triggers. You will heal them. So much like a physical wound, you're still going to have maybe scar tissue there to just remind you every now and then. But you're going to be able to, you're not going to walk around with some gaping hole anymore, okay? And a lot of us tend to walk around with these gaping holes about all this different stuff. And we're like, yeah, but look, here I am. I'm hurt here. Yeah, but look, here I am. I'm hurt here. I'm hurt here. I'm hurt here. I'm hurt here. And you should pay attention. You should not stick your finger in there. Well, other people don't see those gaping holes. They don't. Other people don't see our gaping holes. They don't see our wounds. They don't know about it. Nor do we need to sit around and discuss all those wounds and holes and how we feel that we are broken. Because we're not broken. We're not. We're just experiencing new levels of ourself. We're experiencing new lands within ourselves. We are journeying, really, truly, to meet ourselves. So I encourage you today to look and see what comes up when you get triggered. How are you handing your power over? Where are you stepping into victimhood instead of owning your power around these wounds? Notice, be proactive, and just change it from, why is this happening to me, to, wow, what an opportunity I have to heal this space inside of me, to heal my life, to heal my thinking, my heart, to heal this particular thing. Just a little bit right here with this trigger. Okay, guys, I'm going to jump off of here. I got a ton to do. It is my Rowan day. My baby boys are coming home today, and I got them for 2 days, and then I'm off to Mexico. You know, I was going to teach this workshop while I was in Mexico, and I had this whole beautiful plan of teaching this workshop while in Mexico, and then I went, nah, I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to film the workshop while I'm in Mexico, but I'm not going to put it out while I'm in Mexico. So I'm going to be doing this amazing filming. You will be seeing all the details coming out. It will not be a live training. I might open up like a live chat room, a group chat and stuff about it, but I'm going to be putting together a training for mompreneurs called Superwoman Success Secrets. And I got this really cool Superwoman costume. I'm going to do a whole photo shoot dressed up as Superwoman, and I got to practice my best superhero poses. I'm going to have to go like ask my boys, hey, what are some good superhero poses for mom to do as Superwoman? If I do, I'm going to do like a whole banner. You're going to see a whole bunch of Superwoman stuff. You might think that me funny, but oh no, you might think me silly or naive for dressing up as Superwoman and doing a whole workshop on being Superwoman. But that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm going to film it while I'm down in Mexico for my birthday over there, over 5 days, just enjoying the sun and the beach and the turtles and the dolphins and the fish and that beautiful turquoise water. So yeah, so I'm off to enjoy my baby boys for a couple of days and get a whole bunch of work done. I encourage you to enjoy your next few days as well, and really truly ask yourself, how am I owning this? How can I step more into my power? Where am I becoming a victim? And what is the opportunity that I can gain from this right here? As sensitive as I might be to it, what is the opportunity? I promise you, there always is one. As always, stop existing, start living. You can catch me tomorrow with another Conscious Coffee, or you can go to www.kendalwilliams.com to catch up on any of the cool shit that I do, all the programs, of course the one-on-one coaching, the mentorship, this really cool thing called Tantric Holistic Practitionership that I'm doing right now that I just reduced down $2,000, made it all live on global training for it. I'm very, very excited. I had so many people message me from around the country saying, I would love to do this with you, but I'm not in Texas. I hadn't thought that one through on the front side, so I decided, you know, I'm going to make this available for everybody, so we're just going to do it this way. And then we can all get together and have a great big party in Costa Rica in May where we can get our mastery certification done. So I encourage you that if you are interested in learning, doing a deep dive into Tantra, and maybe you're a holistic practitioner, maybe you're a yoga instructor or a chiropractor, maybe you teach holistic health, maybe you do something on that line, whatever it is, you're into the chakra system, you're into Reiki, you're into energy work, you're into positive exchange, all this frequency talk and natural healing and connection. Tantra is not just about sex. I can tell you that. It is not just about sex. Tantra is about connection. It is about intimacy, not just between the sheets, but intimacy between people, with us, with ourselves, and us with the divine, with God, with nature. No matter what your spiritual belief is, the tantric practice really does fit in. I have worked really hard over the last decade of my life to merge Christian beliefs with tantric practices and to really up-level this into a space where it can be held for anybody. It can really level up your life. It can deepen your connection, your relationship to God, to your partner, and to yourself, and to everybody else, your children, your dog, doesn't much matter. Tantric practices Tantra is about weaving all of life together. It is about breathing in the bliss that our life has to offer us. It is about finding the blessings in the simplest of little things, like just a good cup of coffee in the morning, which I'm really happy about my coffee because I got my favorite coffee back. So happy. They've been out of stock forever with my favorite French press coffee, and it's back. And I'm like, yes, my favorite coffee is back. That's a tantric experience. That is a tantric experience. It is about presence. It is about connection. It is about enjoyment. It is about catching those little triggers and turning them into blessings. That's Tantra. Every Conscious Coffee, if you follow me on Conscious Coffee, if you read my articles, if you are part of my tribe, if you are a client of mine, no matter what, if you're a friend of mine, if I know you in some fashion, if I have touched you in some way, then you have tasted a tantric experience already. If you've gone, yeah, I agree with her on this. Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's psychologically right. That's emotionally right. That's this, that's da. I can feel that. That's a tantric experience. So, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a holistic practitioner, if you have any interest in deep diving into the tantric world and learning exactly what the Dalai Lama knows about Tantra, learning about what us average folk out here can do with such a beautiful practice as embracing our bliss. Just like Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss. It's a very tantric statement. Very tantric statement. If you want to know more about that, make sure that you click on the link in the comments section. Go and check up on the revised version of this beautiful program for anybody who wants to just deep dive into Tantra or become a certified practitioner of it. We are going to be going through 3 intensive layers over the next 8 months where you get to learn all the little things about Tantra and how you can implement it into your personal world, into your relationships, and how you can facilitate the education that you are learning out to others and help grow the expansion of such a beautiful spiritual understanding. And then, of course, come to Costa Rica, because Costa Rica is amazing, absolutely amazing. And for those people who come to Costa Rica and get their mastery certification, cool ass news here. I will be taking 3 people that get certified in Costa Rica with their mastery certification there, because you get certified as a practitioner prior to that. Then you come to the mastery certification in Costa Rica. 3 people that will get chosen out of that group. And the following year, I've already designated, I want to go to Bali. We're going to Bali. I don't care what anybody else has to say. This is my ship. I'm taking us to Bali in 2021. So you will be you have the potential of being part of the facilitator team for the Bali retreat for this exact same practitioner certification. So if that's of interest to you, you want to work with me, you want to deep dive into the land of Tantra, click on the link there. Otherwise, if that has absolutely no interest, you still want to learn about Tantra, you still want to learn like a little bit deep dive as far as like all the stuff that I talk about, you're like, yeah, that's great, but I'm only catching like an hour here. How does this really truly pertain to me? How can I actually move through my shit? How can I move these mountains? Message me about my one-on-one coaching, because I offer that too. And as always, stop existing, start living. You are worthy. You are worthy of all the blessing. You are worthy of your fuck yes life. I love you guys, and I will catch you tomorrow with another Conscious Coffee.